Hello, this is a short video to help the participants of Teaching Assistant Orientation Program 2021, and the session is on creating an online quiz. So here are some tips from my side on how this process happens using Moodle. The steps are as follows. So the first step is to create the categories in question bank. The second step is to author those questions. The third step is to export the questions that you have authored so that you can use them again later on. The fourth step is to import some questions from what you might have authored in the past. The fifth step is to first ensure that the question bank is now ready and then go on to configuring the quiz. And the sixth step is to export the outcomes of the quiz once the quiz has been attempted by the students. The first step of question categories involves the following. We have to understand that the categories under which the questions can be organized is a hierarchical structure. So it's like a tree structure, and so whenever we want to organize our questions, we need to pay attention to the parent category, and we should give a name that is self-explanatory, so that after some time when we look at the category we understand what it means, and perhaps also a brief description of what kind of questions are kept in that category, so that if we happen to pass on those questions to someone else, then they can understand what the category would contain without having to look at the questions themselves. And usually when we want to select the questions for a quiz or to export to a file, the selection of the questions is at a level of a category. So therefore you should organize the categories as fine-grained as you would like, so that the selection would not require you to go on and delete some of the things that you did not want to select. And the selection can also be recursive, which means that you could have the hierarchical structure in such a way that if you were to choose recursively select all the categories below this level, then that would be actually convenient for you to include in a quiz. Now we will see a demo of how the categories can be prepared in the Moodle environment. So let us start the first demo, where we would look at the question categories. So I am opening the previous semester's Moodle, so I have something ready for me to try out. So I open the MTech course, which is already completed, and so you can see that on the left hand side towards the bottom there is this link for question bank. Let me see if I can increase the font size. Yes, I hope you can see that now. So click on the question bank and you can see the tab here for categories. So this is the first thing that we need to do, and there are already some categories that I have organized in my course. We could actually now start creating the categories. So the parent category under which we are going to create the new categories has to be watched out. Normally we pick the course name itself as the starting level and then create the categories. So we can now say here, for example, the first level. Okay, and we can write some description for it. We can say that first level of categorization. Okay, and category added, and we add one more category, and this time what we say is we will pick the first level, and under that we create second level. Okay, second level of categorization. Okay, now you can see that as we can open the list here, you could see that there is this hierarchy that has come. Okay, first level and second level, and like that we can actually create a tree like structure for all the categories that we would like. So what I have done is chapter wise, because this is a small course with 6 chapters. So for each chapter I have a set of questions, and also I have other kind of categories where I have for the purpose of the final evaluation, and you can also have them hierarchical here. Now when I go to, let us say, second level, and now we would like to have some questions on that, so we could then go on to add in that particular category. Okay, and when we want to pick some questions, the categories are chosen for recursive traversal. So therefore the way we organize these levels is quite important. So pay attention to that and always come here and see under each category how many questions are there, and the description that we are giving here is self-explanatory, so that we don't have to go in and see what is there in that particular category. So here we are already mentioning that here. So for example, I made a mistake. I don't want the second level to be below the first level. I can just delete that, and now you see that that's gone, and we can confirm that here. You can see that it's not visible anymore. Okay, so you could actually do these steps to organize your categories in such a way that that is how you would like to have your questions picked up for exporting or for the configuration of quiz. That is the end use of the categories. We have to choose a question type. There are a lot of question types available, and you need to pay attention to the fact that not all the question types can be automatically graded, and therefore if you were to choose to prepare a quiz that has to be auto graded, then plan your question types in such a way that automatic grading is possible. Multiple choice questions, short answer with a numerical outcome would be quite suitable. Now when we pick the question type, the second stage is to provide the content for the question. So you can actually copy paste it from a document that you might have prepared already. You could also use some images, you can insert some equations, and if it has some auto grade possibility, then you can also provide what kind of a mark that you would give for which of the options. There are also possibilities that you can allow for multiple answers with different weight for each of those options. And once a question has been created, you can edit that question to correct any typo. You can duplicate that question and edit it a little bit to create another variant of that particular question. And of course, you must always preview the question to see how it looks like for the student when the student is taking the exam. And you can actually also verify whether the grading pattern is proper. And once you have done that and the question is ready, you may want to push that question to a specific category if you have not selected the category already. Now let us look at a demo on authoring the questions. So for this, what I do is pick an old course that I have finished, so that I can go on to create something in that old course. Students are not there to look at it again now. So we go to the question bank, and we go to the categories and pick a category in which we would like to place this question. So I would like to create a category called miscellaneous, and here I must tell something more about it. We can say that this category can be deleted safely, so that we don't have to worry about keeping that particular category safe. And once the category is there, now we can go on to create the question, and we can pick the category under which the question will be placed. So I choose the miscellaneous category and create a new question. And here you can see that there are a number of types of questions that can be given, and we will illustrate this authoring of a question using the matching type. Okay, so we click on the add, and we need to give some identification for this question. I say Q1, and we say match free with commercial software, okay, as an example. Okay, and we need to give some instruction about that particular matching. We can say pick the free alternative software for the commercial software listed below. Okay, and how many marks we would like to have? We can say 2 marks for this question, and you can give some feedback if you wish at the end. We can say, for example, after the question has been attempted, the students can be told saying that you may want to explore these free software at your convenience. now the questions and the pairing has to be done. So we will just here write, say for example, Adobe Photoshop is the first item that has to be matched, and that would be matched with a GIMP, which is a free alternative. The second that will be matched is Microsoft Office, and it should be matched with LibreOffice. Okay, that's a free software that is available. And then third one would be, let us say, Adobe Acrobat, which is to edit the PDF files, and let us say PDF TK as an alternative. You could also perhaps choose Journal as another application to edit the PDF files, and you can actually have much more a number of options. So we just ask it to pick 3 more. It doesn't mean that we have to actually give 3 more options. We can just leave some of the options empty and they will not be considered. So the fourth option I would like to do is, let us say, Microsoft Outlook, and the free alternative we would like to say is Thunderbird. Okay, Mozilla Thunderbird. Fine. Now this is done, and we now save the changes, and the question is ready. And we could then give some tags if you wish, which will be helpful in searching for them later on. We can edit any typos at any point of time. If you want to prepare some variant of this, we could just duplicate it and then go on to prepare some variants of it in case you are going to use randomized question selection for the quizzes. And always we must do a preview. So the preview shows how the question is going to look like for the student. So let us just randomly pick something and see whether we got it right or not. Okay, and I just simply pick the random options and see what happens. So submit and finish. It shows that I got only one thing right, the other things are not correct. So then it gives me the correct answers, so I verify whether its behavior is fine. Okay, and I can then start again, and then now I check for Outlook. We would like to use the Thunderbird, for Acrobat, PDF TK, Office, which is LibreOffice, and Photoshop GIMP, and submit and finish. We got it right. So we verify in multiple different combinations that the behavior of the question is fine, and with that then we can close the preview, say that okay, the question is now ready. Now once we have done this question, if you wish, we can actually select it and move it to some other category if you wish. In our case, actually we have kept it under miscellaneous category. We just leave it like that, but in case you wanted to put it somewhere else, we can do that now. Okay, and if you choose the same category and click on move, nothing will happen. It won't complain. So this is how we author the questions, and we can do that for every type of a question as we like. Now we come to the possibility to export the questions. This is important because we may want to save these questions for our future use, irrespective of whether the Moodle instance that we are right now using is available or not. So keeping a copy of the questions with us helps us in moving those questions elsewhere, and also perhaps to share with other colleagues who may want to reuse those questions for their own exams. So this is enabled by the export feature, and there are multiple formats to export the question, and Moodle XML is a format that is recommended if you are going to create the questions and use them in the Moodle environment. And you can choose the category of the questions which you are going to export. So as we have already seen earlier, categorizing the questions properly is important because you can only pick a category and not a specific question. And once you have picked the category, the entire set of questions under that category would be exported in the format that you have chosen. Usually it will automatically come to your desktop under the downloaded folder as a file, XML file that will get saved. In case if that doesn't happen, there is always a link that you can click and download the XML format of the questions. Now you can keep it safe because you may want to reuse these questions elsewhere. So it is like a backup for the question bank that you have prepared. Let us look at the demo of how the exporting works in Moodle. So the next task is exporting the questions that we have prepared in one course and then putting them in another course as an imported item. Okay, so first we have to export the questions so that we can save them to our PC as a backup for ourselves and also for future use, just in case the Moodle is not available for us at a later point of time. Okay, or if the instance has changed. Okay, so what we do for that is to export the questions. We pick any course. So I pick the course that we have just now edited, and I go to the question bank here, and we pick a category of questions that have to be exported. So click on the tab here, export, and we have to choose the format of the exporting action. So Moodle XML format is the recommended one, and we have to also export the category, which category we would like to do. So what we would do is that we will pick this question under miscellaneous category. There's only one question, and we just simply export that to a file. Okay, and click on that, and you would see that the file has come here as an XML file, and you could actually look at it here. The file has come, and you could also see that file. I would just show that to you here in a moment. Okay, so it would have come into the download folders, and the XML file is here. So this is a miscellaneous file. So you can actually see that that it's a text file, pure text file, and you can actually open it and see what is there in it. If you understand the XML format, you may even want to edit this question yourself, no problem. However, the format is quite strict, so do not edit it unless you know what you're doing. In any case, you can actually see that the text, whatever you have typed for the question, is all safe, and it is human readable. So even if you don't have Moodle, with some effort you can actually see what you have done already. Of course, this is only when you have got a simple text, and if you have some media, they will be encoded and placed, so you may want to actually put them in Moodle and look at that. Okay, so the files are there, and you see that they are actually quite small files. So this one question is only 2 kilobytes. Okay, so it's a very small file that we are saving to safeguard this particular file. Okay, so we can keep those files for us as backup when we want to reuse later on. Coming to the importing of questions, if we have already prepared some questions in the past and we have exported them to an XML format, then we can actually reuse them in the current question bank by importing those. And naturally, you have to choose the file format, and recommended one is Moodle XML if you have used Moodle in the past and you are going to use Moodle now also. And browse and pick the XML file from your PC, and it will get uploaded into the Moodle environment. So the upload limit would be limitation here. Usually the questions are not very big, so watch out if the size of the XML file is more than what is the upload limit allowed for the Moodle instance that you are currently using. And once you click on the import button, then the questions get imported into the category. Usually the category will be chosen from the question bank itself, which you have exported while saving it. In any case, you can actually look at the timestamp and pick those questions and move them to a particular category so that you can reorganize your questions. Let us look at a demo of how this importing works. Now let us look at how to import an XML file containing the questions into another course. So we have just now saved the miscellaneous category containing one question onto our PC. Then we are going to import it to another course. So here what I would do is I will pick an older course, the same MTech level course, which is over. And here what we do is we go to the question bank and go to the import, and we need to tell what format we are going to import. So Moodle XML format, and pick the file that we have just now saved. So this is a miscellaneous question. Save it and upload the file, and here it is appearing and it is now ready for importing. So when we can click on the import button, and the question is now being displayed so that you can actually see what is the question that you are importing, and you can see that some of the text that you have written is helpful for you to know whether it is the question that you want to import or not. Okay, and continue to basically perform the action of importing, and you can see that it actually does come into a category called miscellaneous, which we have created, and it will come and sit in that. So if you look at what are the categories for this particular old course, you can see that they are the categories which I have kept, but also the miscellaneous category which we just now imported into, and that is a question that has come in here, and the preview is here for you to also check if you wish. So you can see that we have taken a course which was from the 2021 course, a question from the 2021 course, and then pushed it to 2020 course. So we can actually push it in any course that we have access to as a teacher, so that we can actually pull questions out of one course and put it in another course for our reuse, and also to share with other instructors if they wish to take help of our questions for their exams. Now that our question bank is fully populated and we have umpteen number of questions using which we can prepare a quiz, we can now go on to configure a quiz. Now when you want to configure a quiz, you can actually choose specific questions from a particular category, or you can also choose randomly selected questions from a category and also instruct how many such questions should be picked up. The first question type would be recommended if you are going to have a small number of students and you are not worried about the students talking to each other during the exam environment. Randomly selecting questions from a category is recommended if you are not going to do proctoring and if you have a large question bank and relatively smaller number of students, so that the selection of questions given to each student during the exam would not have too much of an overlap across any pair of students. Now you can also edit the weights for each question as well as the total mark for that quiz, so that you can actually plan the quiz like you do in a normal offline environment. You could place some restrictions as to when the quiz can be attempted. You could also choose the timings, etc. So we will look at them in a demo now on how the quiz can be configured. Now let us now look at how to configure a quiz. Okay, so for this what I would do is I would again pick a course that has been completed, and we turn the editing on and go to an appropriate position where we would like to configure the quiz. I go to the bottom so that I can just identify what I have to delete later on. Okay, so I add a topic here, one topic, and I would call it, for example, as TAVO 2021, so that I know I can delete that. And then click on the add an activity, and what kind of an activity? It is basically a quiz. Okay, and here I say create that quiz, and we can give that name. Okay, we can say TAVO 2021 quiz. Okay, it could be quiz 1, quiz 2, whatever, and we need to give some description. So we can say a sample quiz to illustrate the process for TAVO 2021 program. Okay, and of course don't forget to click on this checkbox so that this particular text will be visible on the front page of Moodle. Okay, and you can actually set the timing. So you need to always set the timing to ensure that the quiz is visible to students only when it is supposed to be, and it's over when they are not supposed to see. So in this case, for example, it's only an illustration, so we will keep it up to 10th of August or maybe 15th of August, because we have got second weekend of the TAVO also. So let everybody have a look at it. Now this quiz can be for a particular duration. From the time it is opened, between this duration, it can be visible, for example, say 30 minutes. Okay, so 30 minutes is the quiz. They can start anytime after 6th August 9:45 p.m. and they can finish it before 15th August 9:45 p.m. and whenever they open, they have it available for 30 minutes duration only. So that is the meaning of this particular time limit. And whenever the time is over, what should be done? So that is all available here as an option. So normally we can say that the open attempts should be submitted automatically, so that in case of any network error, etc., there is no panic for the student and the attempt will actually be taken into consideration. And there are many other options that you could actually look at. So you could look at the grade category if you have already configured the grade book, and you can say whether every page should contain one question or two questions, or how many ever number of questions that you wish. And the question behavior, we can always allow for shuffling, because it helps students not talk to each other on separate line to discuss, because they will get the questions in different sequence, and also perhaps different set of questions also. And when they can review is also available for us to control. So normally it is available at every stage, but we may want to actually remove these options so that they can't review the attempt, and we could actually control in such a way that unless we want to actually show them, they actually can't see what they have attempted. So this is one way. Everybody is free to pick whichever way they want to actually configure these options. The appearance of the quiz can be customized with some logo or something like that, so all those can be done here. And any extra restrictions, that also can be done. You can actually have a password in case if you wish to have that way. And overall feedback, depending upon how many marks the student has obtained, you can actually give that here. And to whom it is available, what kind of a group, for example, that can be given. And you can also say that the quiz is open only for those who have attempted a previous quiz. Okay, so you can add a restriction and say they must have finished and which, for example, okay, must have finished the online quiz, and then only they're able to attempt this particular quiz. So you could, if you wish, you can do that kind of a control. Okay, and for the time being, you can actually hide that activity, or just leave it open so that everybody gets to see what is the restriction. Okay, and when the time is over, what do we do? So you can actually say that students should actually mark the activities as completed, or don't have to bother about it. Okay, it's up to us how do we want to do that. Okay, save the quiz once we have done the configuring, and of course when you click, you need to edit the quiz to add some questions. Okay, and now you have to add here, so you can come here and say you can add it from the question bank, or pick a random question. Do not try to add a new question here, it's a bit messy, so pick it up from the question bank. Okay, so I can pick, let us say I can pick a category, and from that category I can select all of them, and I can bring them to this quiz. Okay, so that is one way by which we can add questions. So you now see that the categorization of questions is quite important, because when I pick all the questions, I don't want to then go on to do any editing. You could also do one more thing. You can actually add random question, and we can say how many random. I would like to say I would like to pick 3 random questions from which category? Let us say second category, chapter 2 category, and it would then pick out of these questions 3 of them randomly for each student. Okay, and click on add random question, and those will be configured. And you can see that these 3 are the ones which are coming randomly from the category C2. From the category C1, they are all coming, all of them, but from C2 only 3 questions are coming, and they are coming in a random fashion to each of the student. Okay, so that is how we can actually identify what are the questions that will be coming in. You can actually change the weightage if you wish. Okay, and the total mark can then be adjusted. So there are 13 questions, one of them is 2 marks, so there are totally 14 total marks. You can also make that the maximum mark as 14 and save it. So once that is done, the quiz is configured, and we are ready to go. So you can go to the front page and see how does it look like, and go to the bottom where the quiz is configured. Okay, and you now see that it is available for people to attempt. Now for some reason you still want to edit it, you can do that, because you can go to the left side. There is a place where you can actually edit the quiz. The link is still available. Okay, you can always edit the quiz, that's not a problem, but the default that is shown here is that you are ready to attempt the quiz. And let us say, as per the timing, the students have gone ahead and attempted the quiz. Now assuming that the quiz has already been attempted by the students, you can actually see what is the outcome of the quiz. So you can actually see how many students have attempted the quiz, and the exact timestamp of each student when they have taken, etc. And you can also see the answering pattern of each question. So if there is any question where almost everybody in the class have gotten it wrong, perhaps we may want to look at that question again to see if there was any typographical mistake. And you can look at the mark distribution, and if you are happy with the distribution that the quiz has gone on well, then you can go on to download the marks so that you can use it for your final evaluation. You can save the marks as a spreadsheet, and you can clean up the columns, and then your marks from the online quiz are ready for you to add to the rest of the activities that go on to the final grading pattern for the course. Let us look at a demo of how this works out. Okay, now assuming that the quiz has been attempted by the students, let us see how we can look at the final outcome. So for that, what I would do is pick an old quiz. Students have already passed out, so no problem in me opening up this quiz. So I will open up a quiz from one of the older courses. I'll open the first part here, and you can see that there are 30 students who have attempted. And when I open here, I would see the timestamp of every student, when they have started, when they have finished, how much time they took, and what is the mark. And you can see that from the bottom, when I actually look at it, I can scroll and see that every of these columns, every mark can be seen. Okay, so I would actually scroll here, so you can see that all the columns are available for every question. What are the marks that have been obtained are available, and when you come down to the bottom of the page, you can actually see the averages. Okay, so you could see the averages here, okay, overall averages, and you can see which of the questions has been given, a lower average, which may hint that that particular question has some problem. So we want to look at it again. Okay, and assuming that you are all okay with whatever has come, you can look at the mark pattern, and the mark pattern looks somewhat like a bell. That means by and large the quiz has gone off well. If everybody got all the marks full, then of course there is something wrong. Okay, and also if everybody is on the left hand side of the bar chart, also there is a problem. So once you are comfortable with the pattern and the average marks as well as the correctness, etc., then you can actually now use the button here for downloading all the table data as a CSV file, also as a Microsoft Excel file if you wish. Let me choose that, for example, and download it. And you now have this Excel file which we can open in a moment, and it will let you see all the columns, and you may want to delete the columns which you don't need for your final evaluation. So you can delete all these other things if we don't need, let us say, and just delete. And here we have got the mark and of course the student and the roll number. Okay, so we now can use some of these directly for our final evaluation. So we could actually now see here the roll number is available and the grade is available. We can go on to now use it for our final evaluation. Okay, so I now close this, okay, and say that okay, now the exam is over, the marks are with us, and now the grading can happen by itself. So this is how we can actually put Moodle to a good use for an online quiz. And with that I end this demo. I hope you have followed the entire sequence of how the question bank is created and how a quiz is configured. I hope you will be able to help your instructor in achieving the same outcome in their respective courses. Thank you.